So the next talk, the talk after that, will be post-21, postmodernism in writing. Postmodernism. Postmodernism, postmodernism is postmodernism. It's connected to, quite closely related to post-structuralism, and there's confusion frequently as to how they articulately differ, and we'll discuss some of that. But we're going to focus on the writing and the postmodern shaping of writing, and how by being postmodern in our writing, it provides us with some very strong methodological tools to affect our analytical ideas and to progress now with our analytical ideas. Without a postmodern perspective in our writing, we fall short of who we should be as analysts, as researchers, as authors. So the postmodern element of writing is central to how we shape our ideas, how we express and present our ideas of our work, our research, and so forth. Okay, talk 22. Talk 22 is about something that a friend of mine once said is everywhere, is ubiquitous. And it's not only in academia, but everything we do, every research method, every time we embark on research, we include elements of this. And the talk is about grounded theory. Now, I don't know, I don't know if we can be that exhaustive and say, look, it's everywhere, but it is very pervasive of everything we do. Grounded theory is everywhere, almost. Let's put that to the test, yeah? You know, when you go shopping, or when you go to the bank, or when you go and play tennis or something, you know, you're always throwing in judgments and categorization and stuff. So, you know, grounded theory is really a foundation for much of life. But we'll look at that and how that pertains to linguistic anthropology. Okay, it's very important, linguistic anthropology, and you know, when you're doing general work on linguistic anthropology and you're just sort of playing around with ideas, you have to categorize and judge and compare and everything, and then reformulate and recategorize and readjust and renegotiate things. And that's where grounded theory comes into play and becomes pertinent. And more so when you look at abstraction and what abstraction is and how abstraction works. Okay, abstraction is very important in anthropology, and we'll discuss that. Okay, talk 23, we're going to look at the cultural relevance of language and classical linguistic anthropology. We'll connect language and culture and look at ways in which culture is relevant to language and language is relevant to culture. We'll articulate between the two and look at work that has tried to describe how one reflects the other and the other reflects the one and everything, and more so connected to early linguistic anthropology, early anthropology. Okay, talk 24, we're going to look at two groups of people who have been important, significant, highly significant to modern academia, the social sciences, the humanities. I wonder if any of you, I guess you can guess at least one. Does anyone have any ideas about, yeah, okay. There you go. One is the Prague School. Okay, yep, definitely. And the Prague School and its lineage exists today. We'll speak about some of the Prague School lineage people. That's one. And the other one, of course, you know, you'll get it. You'll get it. Right, yep. So Russian formalism and the Prague School. So we're going to discuss those two. There you go. You guys are ready. You guys are more ready than I am, in fact. Okay, so we're going to speak about the Prague School and Russian formalism, not necessarily in that order, but we'll see, and their importance, their centrality to what we're doing now. Now remember, I said a little earlier on that these pioneers, and these guys were pioneers. You know, when you're a pioneer, it's not easy. You know, you want to invent the light bulb or the washing machine or the record player, and it's not easy. You know, you have to get it, and it's a lot of trial and error, a lot of sweat, a lot of difficulty, a lot of discussion, negotiation, a lot of money, and you know, it takes a lot of time. But in the end, you get it, and you're a great person. But when we look back and we see how easy it is to build a light bulb, you know, we don't understand. We cannot understand that being a pioneer, being an inventor of something, takes an enormous amount of concentration and work and effort and resource and brilliance sometimes. You know, it looks easy from our perspective. In retrospect, it's a piece of cake. But in fact, in prospect, it's impossible because it doesn't exist yet. It doesn't exist. You have to get something new that makes sense, that works. But in retrospect, you know, piece of cake, walk in the park. Okay. So Russian formalism and the Prague School, we'll be looking at that in 24. 25, we'll back to linguistics and multilingualism. Now, multilingualism these days is pervasive. Everybody's multilingual in some way or another, and according to some definition. You know, whether you speak 2, 3, 4 languages, you might speak English and Spanish, South American Spanish, or European Spanish, or Portuguese, or Greek, or Japanese, or Malaysian, or, you know, or Swahili, or Sheng. We're going to discuss Sheng, and Sheng's a very interesting socio-elect. You know, that's multilingual. And I've met some people who speak many languages. Some people I know even claim to speak 17 languages quite fluently. And, you know, if you can get that under your belt, if you can get 17 languages and be very fluent in all of them, then, you know, you deserve a prize, a Nobel Prize or something. Most of us can only get 2, 3 languages well, and that's a struggle. We're all at least fully competent and fully proficient in one language. However, multilingualism isn't just about speaking 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 distinct languages. It's about ways in which we incorporate a diverse set of elements into this one language we know. So if we only speak Italian, you know, we can switch amongst sociolects and everything, and negotiate our primary discourse as well to take on different identities. Okay, all right, that's multilingualism. We'll discuss that. Talk 26, post-colonialism and critical theory. Now, colonialism and post-colonialism. There are regions around the world. Where 3, 4 centuries ago there were movements between the West and the East, and I referred to East Asia, for example, and South America, and there was a lot of trade between the West and the East there, and colonialism and Africa, of course, and colonialism was born. Of course, it wasn't really born then. You know, you go back to ancient Greece, and there was colonialism there, and you know, we'll discuss the idea of colonialism, and from that we'll discuss the possibility of post-colonialism and what it is, and at the same time we'll look at critical theory and regionalism. Colonialism, post-colonialism are interrelated quite closely, and to alleviate these power discourses or to critically contest these power discourses, we have to look at critical theory. Okay, and when we look at linguistic anthropology and the various aspects of linguistic anthropology, and remember, we're going to funnel all of these subjects back into linguistic anthropology. So when we look at what linguistic anthropology is, we'll realize that critical theory and post-colonialism are pertinent to linguistic anthropology and work done. Okay. The next talk, talk number 27, is we're going to look at an aspect of phonology. We'll look at phonology there, but we'll look at a specific aspect of phonetics and phonology that I find very interesting and I've done some work on, and I think is one of the greatest theories discovered in linguistics, and that's the OCP, the Obligatory Contour Principle. The Obligatory Contour Principle is, interesting, and surprisingly, not so much work has been done on it, but it's, it describes a lot about linguistic anthropology and linguistics, and social linguistics as well. Okay, the OCP. Okay, 28, we're going to build on 26 and other, and then and 8 and 9. And 28 is, the talk will be about gender theory. And we're going to discuss there its evolution and what gender really means. Gender is a field that has been greatly contested and, misunderstood, and lots of people have given their views on gender and what gender is, and misunderstandings, misconceptions, misconstruals about gender. So we're going to clarify many things and present work on gender and come to some sort of consensus, some level of consensus about what gender is. And we do need a basic description of gender because we need to build on to develop consequent work. We need to define clearly what gender is. So that's what we're going to do. Okay. Talk number 29 is recording languages, documenting languages, and language revitalization. Linguistic anthropology was born really, the field of linguistic anthropology was born really out of a need to help certain communities, certain groups of people who were suffering for some reason or another, and the languages were dying. So people, who we'll discuss, went into these communities and became part of these communities and decided that it was important to help these communities to re-strengthen their dying languages. And to do that, they had to document, increasingly understand, and to give back to the community and to help them through educating these communities with certain techniques, to help them to strengthen their language practice and to limit encroachment from the outside. Okay, and that's frequently the central part of dying languages, encroachment from the outside, and younger generations decide that they don't want to speak the heritage language anymore, so they opt for the cooler language, which is, cool. Okay, or, political or religious influences there. Okay, and of course, language documentation, how to document these languages and correctly and effectively and everything. Talk number 29. We're going to look at people within linguistic anthropology, significant theorists over the past century and a half. We're going to look at their lives and what they've done and everything. And this is too big a field to, as is discourse theory. Discourse theory, for example, is too big a field to discuss in 1, 2, 3 hours. You need years and years and decades to discuss it, and it's never ending. So looking at significant theorists in linguistic anthropology is a never-ending discussion, and more so because now we look at early classical theorists and we have new ideas about them. So there's always going to be new developments and ideas about what they did. And there's also great misunderstanding of the people and the work done in linguistic anthropology. So there's always going to be new discussions. However, we'll look at the basics and try and cover as much as we can in simple sessions, short sessions. Now, don't forget that this is an ongoing series. So we initially present 32, 35 sessions, but it's ongoing. It's OMILIA, O-M-I-L-I-A. It's ongoing meetings in linguistic anthropology. Ongoing meetings in linguistic anthropology. So it's ongoing, and we'll keep meeting and meeting. And in fact, we've our groups now have grown significantly, haven't they? I guess we're pretty regional now, somewhat international. There won't be, I don't think we'll ever stop. We'll keep going and keep discussing. So we'll always be building on. And because we're recording these, the earlier ones will be online, so we can keep meeting and discussing new topics or finding new ways to discuss old topics and so forth and expanding. Okay, so that was 30. 31. We'll look at two aspects of linguistic anthropology which have become very important, and that's the spatial and the temporal, spatiality and temporality. And we'll discuss their origins in the 17th, 18th, 19th centuries, and how they've become an important, significant aspect of linguistic anthropological methodology, okay, and analytical framework. So a lot of people, especially in archaeological anthropology in the United States, in California and so forth, have used the spatiality and temporality to describe other things. And a lot of great work has come out of that, I have to say. A lot of very impressive work, and they're great lenses with which to conceptualize what's happened. Okay, and the last talk, I mean the last talk in inverted commas because it's not the last talk, it's, you know, it's just the last one we have planned, but we're going to then plan new ones and move on and everything, is something that most people would have put at the beginning. But we didn't because I don't really want to, initially anyway, I don't want to instill ideas in your heads about what linguistic anthropology is. I want you to first, you know, strengthen your ideas and look at the whole environment or an extensive amount of linguistic anthropology and try and put things together and develop your own ideas. And then you tell me, because, you know, linguistic anthropology is as much about what you think it is as it is what I think it is. So, okay, so number 32 is aptly, but yet ironically, entitled, What is Linguistic Anthropology? So we're going to discuss ideas about what linguistic anthropology is. Okay, so they're the first 32 that we have planned, or 34, because some of them are broken up into two also. And they're quite a concise set of talks. And, you know, there's just so much to discuss. There's a lot to discuss. So, and there are always new things to discuss. So we'll try and do our best, and we'll try and fit in everything as we can, but we don't want to cheat, and we don't want to skip on anything. So what we'll do is we'll be as exhaustive as possible, which is impossible anyway, but as exhaustive as possible. We'll be as articulate as possible, but we'll also, you know, we won't include too much because that way will be cheating, and we cannot try and throw in as much as we can. We have to take our time and remember that there's always space further on for us or for other people to expand on what we've done. And these talks will definitely help you to do that. Now, I'm going to very quickly tell you about the aims of this series. One aim is, of course, to fill in any gaps. And surely many of us will have gaps, and we need to better conceptualize our various fields in linguistic anthropology. We need to become aware of things that have gone on in linguistic anthropology, and we're not aware of many things, and we're not aware of things that we should be aware of. You know, history, other fields, people, Emilia Durkheim, and you know, people who have been not linguistic anthropologists, but have been pertinent nonetheless. You know, if you look Pierre Bourdieu or others who have not been linguistic anthropologists, but have been influential nonetheless. Another motive for these talks is to present you and you know, all of you here together. And there's quite a big group here. We've grown significantly, haven't we? How many do we have in this group now? Yeah, okay, all right, it's quite a big group. And we, you know, we're online as well. So our intention there is to connect you all, and so that you all have common points of discussion, so you can all get together and discuss what we're discussing, and to put everything together and to try to develop that with or without me. You know, you discuss and you amongst yourselves, and you develop ideas, and if you need to speak to me, then I'm always around, always around. You know where to find me, of course. I'm here, just here. And I'll do what I can to contribute. So the point there is that I'm going to try to provide you with as much as possible, so you can go off, and that'll springboard you into you know, further discussion amongst yourselves. Another aim of this talk series is to connect you with people around the world who are doing work in linguistic anthropology, in the hope that you contact them and they reply to you. Now, you know, remember that these important people, they frequently, not always, they frequently don't get back to you. And why is that? You know, it's not like, a great friend of mine told me once, a great friend of mine in a record company in America told me once that, he said, Michael, you know, you contact all these people and they don't get back to you. Don't take it personally. They don't hate you. It's just that they have better things to do. They have better things to do. You send them an email, you call them, leave a message, and send them messages, and they don't get back to you. They don't even acknowledge you. It's not as if they don't dislike you or something. Or you call them and they say, hi, who's this? And you say, it's Michael, and then they say, sorry, I got no time, and they close the phone. And, you know, it's not, he told me they don't hate you, they have nothing against you, it's just that they have better things to do. And everyone's trying to stay alive. Okay, and that's a very, it was a great piece of advice for me, and I always remember that. And it's true, you know, nobody hates you. And as academics, we shouldn't really care if people hate us. The important thing is that we contribute, and that we don't offend people, of course, and that we keep contributing. If it appears as though someone hates us, then don't worry about it. You know, that's the world. The world is, people come and go, and people like you and hate you, and you know, that's how life is. You just have to keep on doing your job, and then going home and watching your favorite TV show, and playing a little cricket or tennis or something, and then, you know, going home and having a good night's rest. And don't let these things get you down. But the idea is that we do establish contact with these people. And how do we do that? By producing good work ourselves. Now, you know, we can't bother these people and say, look, can I talk to you? Can I talk to you? Develop your work and do your work, and then these people will get to know you and say, wow, look at this guy, blah, blah. He's done some great work on language ideology, or, you know, he's developed new ideas about the Prague school or something, or language communities. So I'm going to, yeah, I know you. So when you email them, they'll say, yeah, I know this guy. You've done some great work, man. So, you know, I love your work on gender theory or something. So, and then they'll contact you. Otherwise, if you contact them and you haven't done work, you know, it's sort of becomes difficult, and it sets up barriers between you and them. But let's hope that they do reply. And some people, many people, sorry, not some, many people in the field of linguistic anthropology are sincere, very sincere. And they, despite that they have very busy schedules, they do want to help you, and they do reply, and they say, hi, Michael, yeah, thanks for emailing me. Look, if you want to do this and this and this, and then I'll try and help you, let me know. So, you know, you have to try and find middle ground between approaching them but not approaching them too much. All right. So they're the aims, and we have other aims as well, which will become evident and explicit throughout the talk series. Okay, now, if you need to contact me, remember you have my email and everything, and it's on the notes, and feel free to contact me anytime. And my email is, you'll see it there, it's my name, Hadzentonus at hadzentonus.info, okay, my name at myname.info. So email me, and I'll get back to you anytime. Do what I can, do what I can. Okay, so that concludes our introductory talk, and we will move on from here, and we will reconvene for our first session on semantics. Okay, thank you very much, you guys.